To build reef resilience, we need to maintain the coral cover and biodiversity, but also mitigate the stressors that the reef's facing. So primarily this would be addressing the threat of climate change, but also local stressors such as water quality and pollution. So through the Coral Nurture Programme, we're trying to build resilience, buy time for the reefs while we get that global action on climate change, help ensure the biodiversity and the coral cover is maintained into the future, and also ensure the socio-economic resilience of the tour operators and other key stakeholders of the reef.
Our approach to reef conservation is really different to others out there. It really is an equitable partnership between the stakeholders and the scientists. And that's really important because that's what enables us to build scale. And the model's quite straightforward. So all of the operators are out there planting coral. That enables us to do science at scales never possible before and really provide the answers of how to do this better to the operators, and they can continue to grow the scale. So we have what's called a positive feedback loop. It's a really unique model.
Since the proof of concept stage, over an 18-month period, we've had another 70,000 corals that have been outplanted, scaling across 20 different sites. So that shows the scalability that can be achieved in a relatively small timescale.
From the very outset, we not only believed in what they were doing and could see the potential of how big and scalable it could be, which is really important for a brand and a company like Diageo, but equally they were such easy people to deal with. They understood what we were trying to do and what our objectives were. We understood what their objectives were, and we found a lovely, happy medium for us both to come together and achieve, hopefully, a fantastic mutual outcome for both parties and ultimately the Great Barrier Reef and its long-term future. We also happen to have a pretty impressive spirits distillery at the southern tip of the Great Barrier Reef, so we felt that there was a really big opportunity and almost an onus on us as a big manufacturer to do our bit to help our own backyard. And what better part of Australia and the world to help than arguably our greatest national treasure in the Great Barrier Reef itself.
Diageo's support for the project has been an absolute game changer for us. So the support directly goes to the operators, and that has meant they can keep planting during periods, especially when there are tourism downturns. And COVID-19 was a really good example of when we simply had no tourists. The other really critical angle that Diageo provides for us is the external visibility to a huge network of supporters. And it means that the messages that we can really communicate about the success of the programme, not just in terms of the ecological gains, but also the social gains to all of the operators and the stakeholder livelihoods, reaches a really wide community, wider than we can possibly do by ourselves.
So ultimately, if there is the passion, the motivation, the desire of our industry partners, if we as scientists can continue to bring the knowledge that's needed and continue this harmonious partnership, then ultimately the scale is, limitless.
So other community stakeholders can quite simply get involved by supporting the tourism operators. Do not give up on the reef. Visit the reef and see the incredible action that all of the local communities that are rehabilitating the reef can really achieve. Whether that's maintaining the existing healthy sites or rebuilding some of the degraded areas, every visitor counts right now, and that supports our process even further.